Come on, Annie. Let's go to the movies.
This is the Cinereelists episode 556. My name is Kyle.
My name is James.
And my name is Old Zach.
And we're here to talk about movies, movie lists, and movie obsession for the next hour or so. Welcome back, Old Zach.
Thank you. I hope you rhymed this entire episode.
I will try, but I cannot deny that there may not be time to rhyme.
No. No, that wasn't good.
You remember on Parks and Rec, Jean-Ralphio would always rap, and he'd like do that. He would end on not a rhyme.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always funny.
That's good.
Good show.
How's it going, James?
Almost as good as The Office.
Almost as good as The Office. That's true.
How's it going?
It's
going
not
pretty
as
good,
but almost as good.
I have some complaints, but I'll keep them to myself.
Oh no, I think you want to air some grievances.
I don't want to air.
Is it
grievances.
Festivus already?
I'm feeling good. I mean, it's we're not going to get political, but politically, I'm feeling good.
Politically, you're feeling good?
Politically, I'm feeling good. What's happening in the U.S., the direction we're headed, compared to where I felt like we were going to head like a week ago.
Yeah.
I feel good.
Okay.
Who knows if we'll keep going that direction? Could change on a dime. But I'm feeling good.
Okay. Kyle, how are you feeling politically?
I mean, it's interesting that I feel the same as James, yet we all live in Florida and Wisconsin respectively, which maybe aren't as going so well.
Oh, you mean from a local level?
Yeah, from a local level. Though
sure.
I mean, Wisconsin did better than expected, so
things are a dumpster fire in any other way as far as local goes, but
yeah.
But maybe I mean the Florida governor will maybe be president. That's a good thing, right? Jokes.
It depends who you ask.
Your hometown boy?
My hometown guy, yeah.
Making it big in the big city?
Yeah.
Ronnie D.
Why did we start this? How's it going? How are you, Zach? I don't think we've asked you yet.
I'm fantastic, James.
Great.
I'm so good.
And politically?
I'm politically fine.
Perfect.
I don't know if politics have affected my mood today.
Awesome. Nice. Well, before we jump into it, I need to let everybody know, if they had not noticed, we put out a bonus episode of this podcast this week, or this past week, rather. It's episode 555.5. And in that episode, Kyle and myself talked the horror film Barbarian. So if you haven't checked that out, definitely give it a listen. It's a shorter episode since it's a bonus. I don't know why I'm telling you that.
I mean, it's not that short.
It actually is for the next hour or so.
Yeah, it's about an hour.
Yeah.
Compared to like 2 hours.
Promise, finally.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, if you haven't seen Barbarian, I suggest you see it first before you even bother hitting play.
Too late.
But you listen to it?
I listened to it.
Well, you're not going to see it. That's why.
I do want to see it.
You do want to see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to know what happens.
Did you hear that? Did you hear me say
intrigued.
that I think it's a movie you might like?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Kyle doesn't think you'll like it at all because
He doesn't think so.
there's definitely some violence in it.
I don't think it's a Zach kind of horror movie.
Okay.
I disagree.
Ooh.
I think you wouldn't like, I don't know. What's the movie with the ghosts that are all popular these days?
The
You know what
movie
I'm
with
talking
the
about.
ghosts that are
The
popular. these days?
Conjuring. You know what I mean? That
Oh,
type
yeah.
of stuff.
Oh.
I don't think you care for The Conjuring, but like weird, quirky, odd horror movies. I think you'd be down for it. And
Quirky.
I think Barbarian's a little quirky for sure.
It's a little different. I don't know if quirky is the word I use to describe.
You
it.
guys say quirky.
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 QWI.
Sure.
Okay, so Kyle just defined quirky as a little different. Characterized by peculiar or unexpected traits. Was I far off on that one? I don't think
It
so. I
is
think quirky is
unexpected.
pretty much what you just said,
Yeah.
Kyle.
Yeah.
I guess I think of quirky as just being a little off, a little peculiar, and this movie was a little bit more than peculiar.
Mhm. It was so
I see.
peculiar. It was a little more than peculiar.
I see.
So it was quirky. Or
Yep.
quirky.
Does
as
anybody have
James
a
likes to say.
check-in? A check-in this week?
I don't have a check-in, guys.
I don't think I do.
Nothing's happened since
Do
last
you,
week.
James, have a check-in you'd like to wait for us to prompt you on?
I really don't.
Oh, okay.
I really wish I was baiting you guys, but I wasn't. I was genuinely curious if you had one. Since you don't, though, that means I can go right into our housekeeping for this week. Don't forget, there's a video version of this podcast on YouTube. Search Cinereelists, REEL with an S on the end. Find us there, subscribe, and watch while you listen. You could also find us on Patreon, patreon.com/Cinereelists. Speaking of Patreon, the Patreon listeners have had access to Barbarian for like a week and a half, that mini episodes. So that's one of the perks of supporting us on Patreon is you get episodes that were recorded in advance early. You could also leave us an Apple Podcast review, 5 stars only. We'd appreciate that. Or send us an email to heyguys@cinereelists.com with a comment, question, list suggestion, movie suggestion, any of those kinds of things. We love getting via email, and we will discuss on the podcast at some point. Anything else to say before we jump into the latest MCU film to be released?
I think you covered it all.
All right. I feel I did as well. Thank you, Kyle. Let's get into it. The movie is Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Let's talk about it right after this clip.
Get out of my dorm. Get out. Hey, I'm warning you, do not take another step toward me.
See how they teach the children to treat their guests.
Put this spear in here. Who brought a spear in here?
I like her.
Hey. Put it down, put it. You'll hurt yourself. Come on.
It's all right, princess. Small girl. I am going to give you 2 options. You can come to Wakanda, conscious or unconscious.
You need to be conscious of the way that you look. Walking around here with that ash on your head.
Oh, it's funny.
No, it's not.
I told
You
you.
look good.
That was Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, directed by Ryan Coogler. It's a 2022 American superhero film based on the Marvel comics character Black Panther.
A quirky film.
The movie stars Letitia Wright, Lupita Nyong'o, Danai Gurira, Winston Duke, Florence Kasumba, Dominique Thorne, Michaela Cole, Tenoch Huerta, Martin Freeman, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and Angela Bassett, amongst others. The official IMDb plot synopsis for Black Panther, Wakanda Forever is: the people of Wakanda fight to protect their home from intervening world powers as they mourn the death of King T'Challa. Pretty good.
Yeah.
I guess that's true. What did you guys think of Black Panther, Wakanda Forever? Everybody want to go first?
Kyle?
Yeah, I'll go first. So
Alright.
I just saw this afternoon, so I'm still processing. I don't
Same
have
here.
fully formed thoughts, but we could probably talk it out a little bit. This movie definitely had some heavy lifting to do, given the actual death of Chadwick Boseman,
Mhm.
the titular Black Panther from MCU fame, amongst other movies. And I thought this movie did a really nice job of both honoring him and the character that he made most famous, and probably what he was probably most famous for was that character.
Easily
Um,
what he was most famous for, I
Yeah.
would say.
Oh yeah. I really liked at the before the movie started, when they did the Marvel Studios logo,
Mhm.
Yeah,
it
that
was
was good.
all images of him, like with no music, and I sort of set the tone right away for the movie. So I thought how it handled him and King T'Challa was when that movie was at its best, and definitely when I was most engaged in it. And this movie is a lot about grief and loss. There's a lot of that being processed by the characters, and I wonder how much of the actors processing that on screen too. And then as for the actual like movie itself, I thought it was good. I was entertained by the main plot that was going on. I know we're gonna talk spoiler sections. I don't know if we want to really talk anything about the antagonists at all in this movie. But I thought that they were interesting.
I mean,
and sort
they're
of
in the trailer.
they're on the okay. I never saw a trailer, so I wasn't quite sure
Yeah, I never
how
saw a
much was
trailer either.
revealed or not. Okay, all right. So I liked how I don't know, Namor and his people were sort of a counterpoint to Wakanda
Mhm.
in that sense of how they sort of had similar origins, but a different approach to the world. I also thought this was maybe one of the most beautiful MCU movies I've seen yet. Like
Huh.
there are many moments that stood out to me as like, oh, this is just a really visually cool moment. There's a lot of scenes in the water that this movie takes place in,
Mhm.
and there was a couple both like above, people in the water above the level and then also underwater. I thought were just really beautiful, amazing to look at, and some really great fight scenes. A lot of this movie took place in daylight, which I appreciated. There obviously were some nighttime CG scenes, and we're used to that, but to see more daylight CG is really, really cool. And I think this movie CG wise was a bit of a step up from what we saw with Black Panther. It's hard to watch this movie and not compare it to Black Panther and not to miss Chadwick Boseman and his presence. And I think for me, like Angela Bassett, she's great. And I like Dene Gira and Lupita Nyong'o. They're all good in it. But Letitia Wright, not a bad actress, but didn't quite fill that Chadwick Boseman role for me. I don't think she just quite was up to the task to give me as much investment as he did as the main character of this franchise. Zach, what did you think?
I think I disagreed with Kyle on basically every point he made.
Every point, okay.
Really,
I
you
guess
thought the movie was ugly looking.
I don't think it was anything special as far as
Really?
the visuals go.
Well, I'll disagree with you on that, but go ahead.
Okay,
Great.
thank you, James.
Disagree away.
Okay.
I found the underwater people completely uninteresting and derivative of Aquaman. We have Aquaman, and before the movie, a trailer played for Avatar. And between the two of those, I found them completely uninteresting, except for their backstory. I liked their backstory, but like when we actually like visit their world, I was just uninterested. I like the whales, but like being underwater and watching people, kind of try to swim around like awkwardly underwater. I didn't like Aquaman, and it just gave me such Aquaman vibes.
Okay.
I think Letitia Wright was a phenomenal actress in this movie. I think she definitely held her own. She was awesome. I really, really liked her performance. And she's this movie from start to finish. Like it starts with her reacting to Chadwick Boseman's death, and we just get a ton of her in this film. And I think she did a really good performance. I thought all the performances were really strong. Especially all the Wakandan women had really great performances. But in general, I found this movie relatively ho-hum. It was, I felt like mostly action-less. Like there were just long stretches where just nothing was happening, like action-wise. And it just got very long and boring for me at several times. And there were other characters, like smaller characters, like the like genius 19-year-old or whatever. I thought that was Dominique Thorne. I thought that was such a cool character. I really liked her character a ton, and we just got very little of her. And everything we got of her was awesome, but we just got so little of her. Yeah, so I don't know. I thought the movie was relatively ho-hum.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I thought it was ho-hum, but I did enjoy the Wakanda grieving / politics far more than I enjoyed like the basic overarching plot or the action part of the plot where it was like, okay, there's this other society and for some reason you have to go against them. You have to battle them. And I also had the same problem. I never really equated it with Aquaman, but man, the Avatar vibes were hot and heavy with this movie.
Oh, with the
For
blueness,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was distracting. That and they kind of looked rubbery, which is probably like well done CG, but also looked kind of like, I don't know. It looked weird to me. They looked weird. And I didn't really ever care about the villain at all. Like like Namor is a hero in the comic books. And so I was just kind of waiting for him to turn around or something. And I guess if you didn't know anything about Namor, you might be enthralled by what this movie gives you as far as he's concerned, but I doubt it because they don't really give you much. He's just like fiercely trying to defend the secrecy of his people. It's like, okay. It's a motivation. It's just, yeah, the comparisons to the original are impossible. The original is such a personal movie where you've got like brother versus what illegitimate brother, and you've got just the Black Panther character becoming who he is and having to decide how he's going to rule as a king and like all these family dynamics. You've got the kind of bratty, intelligent sister, and just like a much more Wakanda specific storyline going there. And then in this one, they have to have some kind of threat to Wakanda happening. Like in theory, they could tell another insular Wakanda story like they did with Black Panther, but instead they chose, okay, we need an outside threat to come in and bring the battle to Wakanda. And it was just kind of like, this is the best threat we can conjure. I mean, I understand like the dynamics they were trying to come up with is like that society is very similar to this one. So, you're kind of in the same fight and yet they're fighting against each other. I understand the gist of what they're getting at, but at the same time, it was kind of like, I don't care about these people. I care about the Wakandans. I don't care about these other people that are coming in. And Killmonger in the first movie, you felt for, even though he was doing bad things. Like all the bad things he was doing were completely motivated. I don't know about justified, but motivated. And so whenever he fought Black Panther, it was kind of like, it was sad that they were fighting because you knew the backstory of Killmonger and how he ended up there. I also felt like the movie it sounds like I'm bagging on the movie. I did enjoy it, but there is a lack of action going on here.
Yeah.
A lack of memorable action, I would say.
Yeah.
And not to nitpick, but when you knock water warriors off the side of a large ship, don't they just fall into the water just fine?
Yes. Yes, they do.
Climb back up again.
It didn't
They're
make any
totally
sense.
fine.
There were like a couple times where things were happening on screen where I was like, none of this makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, it's kind of a cool visual, but I didn't quite get it. But to defend Kyle, I do believe if you watch this movie and you watch Multiverse of Madness or even No Way Home, this movie has like a filmmaking pedigree from the cinematography perspective and like the design of Wakanda in general, the design of the costumes is just another level compared to a lot of other Marvel properties for sure. And so I like that about it. Same thing with the music.
Yeah, music's great.
You could play music from a lot of other Marvel movies. I couldn't tell you the difference between one or the other. The music in these Black Panther movies is very distinctive for me and catchy and like interesting.
I agree with that. The music's great.
I also felt like Martin Freeman just no point.
Completely
Yeah,
unnecessary.
Get him out of the
Both
movie.
him and Julie Louis-Dreyfus did nothing for this movie whatsoever.
I mean, they might be a part of like a bigger arcing story, but it just
Yeah.
it only
superfluous.
work. That only helps if like it's actually a part of this movie too.
Yeah.
Or just put him in the stinger. Put him in the stinger. Leave him out of the main movie.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm enjoying my MCU movies to not really be part of the MCU.
What?
Like, as in, like they're all part of the same world, but there's really, at least for Phase 4, I feel like there's been very little connective tissue from all these movies. They're all just kind of doing their own thing, and I'm okay with
Sure.
that. Like, I'm okay that this is just a Wakanda movie, and yeah, there's references to the greater MCU, and they have like Julie Louis-Dreyfus's characters probably playing some larger role at some point, but there's no like super villain lurking in the background. There's no
There's no
we have to go
Thanos.
fetch this thing FYI for this movie in the future. Like this movie really felt like it was telling its story insular to the rest of whatever's going on in the MCU.
Yeah. I really like the Boseman stuff. I thought they did that tactfully, and there wasn't any crying in my theater or anything, which upset me. I really wanted weeping around me.
You wanted some
Didn't
tears.
Was there
happen.
clapping at the end?
There was when was that a spoiler?
Just was there clapping at the
Was
end?
there clapping at the end? Yes or
There
no?
was clapping, not right at the end, but there's something that happens
Sure,
near
sure.
the
Okay.
end.
Yeah,
that there was a very small contingent of people clapping.
There was a smattering of clapping, both when the initial credits rolled and then after the mid credits.
Yeah, we had 2 sets of clapping.
Yeah. But
this had
it was
nothing to do with credits or post credits. This was like in the movie, but
in the movie, people were
three-quarters
clapping.
of the way through.
Okay.
You guys didn't have any clapping other than the end.
I had 2 sets of clapping.
Yeah. At the end and then the second end were my 2 sets of clapping.
Did the movie never told us how Black Panther died, did it?
He had an
Yes.
illness.
An unspecified illness.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which I'm kind of okay with the fact that they didn't try and explain his death too much. Like the focus wasn't on how he died. The focus is on he's dead, T'Challa's dead, and this family and this society is dealing with the fact that their king is dead and their brother
Yeah.
is dead and their son is dead.
Mhm.
I liked that element, that anything that was personal, I really enjoyed about the movie.
Mhm.
Like how his mom was trying to, project strength of Wakanda while she has this one great line where she's like, haven't I lost everything? Haven't I given up everything too?
Yep.
Mhm.
And it's like that landed for sure. That's great line. But yeah, you have the main bad guy, and I'm sure it's true to the comics, but like his character design on screen with a real human looks silly with like wings on his heels.
His character, I don't know if Namor has wings on his heels in the comic book. Usually he has like a fan between his elbow and like his torso, like fans, like wings like that. Does he have winged feet?
He
It just
definitely
looked-
has winged feet.
He definitely has winged feet. Yeah, it's one thing to in a comic, but then to see like a guy with little pigeon wings on his ankles.
And like, what do wings have to do with the water? Like he's like
Taken up
he's
with
a combina-
Jack Kirby 50 years ago, Zach.
Ah,
Oh no,
I just-
Namor was like the 30s. Like he's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, action wise, there were some really standout moments. Like that first action scene in a vault, I guess we could say.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really done choreographed very well. I love the water people's water bombs that they carried with them.
those are awesome.
Those were cool. It's a cool effect. And then that battle on this ship when all the the female warriors, I can't remember what they're called, but they like put the ropes on and run over the edge of the edge of the boat and are fighting vertically. I thought that was all done both visually very well and choreographed. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I just miss some of the like, palace intrigue that
Mhm.
the first Black Panther had.
Yeah.
And you've got Winston Duke here, who's like maybe your charisma for the movie, I would say. and he was involved in that power dynamic in the first one. Not as heavily as Killmonger and Black Panther, but he was certainly there. And then you also had what's his name from Nope, the actor.
Oh yeah, Daniel Kaluuya. I missed him in this movie.
Daniel Kaluuya is not in this movie for some
Yeah.
reason. I feel like you could have had like some entanglements somewhere in here that would just boost the Wakanda stuff more.
His
but then you'd have
character
to
gets
make
one mention
room
in this
for it.
movie.
He has a mention?
Yeah, because he was or is Daniel Gura's character's wife or husband. They're married,
Right.
and there's an offhand mention of like, oh, where's your husband or something like that, or do you go see your husband?
Interesting. The Letitia Wright, I thought did fine with what they gave her. I don't think it was like an Oscar-winning performance or anything, but she's in a tough position as an actress to go from kind of the, fourth fiddle to now the weight of a series is on your shoulder, and it's not even your series. You know what I mean? It's not her character, really. I'm sure when she signed up for this, there was no talk of her ever taking on the Black Panther mantle, and all of a sudden she's the star of this movie that made $1 billion, the first one. And by the way, the guy that was so beloved passed away, and you have to follow in his footsteps. It's kind of an impossible situation to put an actress in, or an actor, or whatever. And I think she does fine here. I just wish the bigger story that had nothing to do with the Chadwick Boseman Black Panther succession was more interesting than what we got. But I enjoyed my time. I feel like it could have been 20 minutes shorter. It would have been the same movie pretty much for me.
You cut all the Martin Freeman stuff, and there's your 20 minutes right there.
You could cut all the girl from the United States stuff, and it
No,
would
she
be
was
the
so
same
great, though.
movie. It would be the
She was
same
so
movie
great.
without her.
I agree with Zach. I liked her. I agree with you.
I'm not saying I didn't like her. I'm saying if you look at the guts of the story, there's nothing her involvement brought to the story that changes like the overarching of like what they're trying to say here. The only reason she's there, I'm assuming, because they're like collecting these younger superhero type people for like some kind of series. Like they're doing it in a lot of these movies where there's these young people that are, have superpowers, or some of them are just really smart or whatever. I just don't think it needed it.
Did her character have a name, like besides her actual like character name?
The character's name, I don't remember from the movie, but it's Riri on IMDb.
You mean like a nickname? Is that what you're saying?
Like at the end when she's doing superhero stuff, did she have a superhero name? Yeah. That's what I was trying to get to.
I don't remember. The other one, the suit that Denai Guerrera wears, has a name.
It was like the Midnight Tide or something like that.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
I think her character name is Ironheart.
Ironheart. Okay. So everyone just gets Iron Man suits now, right? Is that what we've come to?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Cool.
Yeah. I was also. Oh, that's a spoiler. We don't have to talk about that.
Okay.
James, you've been doing so many spoilers.
Hey, I've been catching myself. Have I said anything out loud?
Yeah.
That was a spoiler?
A big one.
What was it? I'll bleep it out.
Well, you said Letitia becomes Black Panther.
That's very well known.
Why? If you know it, then it's not a spoiler. And if you don't know it, it's a spoiler, right?
I'm saying it's in the trailer.
It's in the trailer that she becomes Black Panther?
Yes.
It is?
Yes. Not only is it in the trailer, it's like it's well known that that's the direction they're going. They talked about it during the press tour.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Saying.
I do think that there is a lack of a leader going on here.
Are you talking like in the movie or from a production standpoint?
From a storyline perspective.
Okay.
Like obviously there is, just based on reality of the situation. But in general, it was a lot about a person that's not there. And it's interesting, and it's kind of what you have to do with this movie, I guess. But I'm looking forward to a Black Panther movie where that doesn't have to be the focus. I don't want a series of these movies where it's all about living up to the legacy of T'Challa. It's like, okay.
Like, this is our T'Challa movie. And
I
then
just want
for
interesting
the next one.
Wakanda stories.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need repeated T'Challa stories that he's not even in.
I doubt they're going to be heavily talking about him in the next movie.
I mean, we'll have to talk spoilers to really get into that. But
I just watched the trailer while you're talking. I did not see at all what you're talking about.
Which, I mean, there's
there's like 10
trailers.
trailers.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Did you watch the first trailer? Was it 30 seconds long and barely have any footage?
2 minutes.
Okay. I don't know if they spell out that person that I'm not going to repeat again is that person, but it's definitely implied and talked about on the press tour. Like,
okay, so if people are actively following the press tour,
yeah,
there was an actress that was asked in just about every interview how she felt. Okay.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know what to tell you.
I'm going to defend James. It was not some close guarded secret.
Right.
You're right. If you went in knowing nothing, then everything we talk about is a spoiler. So, but it was not a twist to the movie. Like, oh, they're doing that. Like it. I was not surprised by that turn of events.
Okay.
Yeah. I think my biggest problem with the movie, and again, I didn't hate it. I had fun with it. It's just Namor's so lame and limp compared to Killmonger was. What Killmonger was. It was just like, I don't, just get this dude off the screen. Whenever he was there, I was like, not interested in this. Not interested in the underground Atlantis thing. It was just like, okay.
The blue people, it's just like, come on.
Yeah.
They're so, and they always had that weird mask on. I just did not like their character design at all.
They can't breathe in our atmosphere.
Right.
They're water breathers.
I get it. But
yeah.
I didn't like. Okay, this is a spoiler. I didn't like how they figured out. Never mind. Okay.
They should have just spray painted Namor.
Spray painted him?
Yeah. Covered his skin with paint.
Like body paint?
Yeah, body paint. Done.
And just showed him from the waist up? Is that what you're saying? Or
No. Just like choke him to death.
Oh, okay. That's spoiler. Come on.
That's a spoiler that they should have done that?
No, that's what I was trying to avoid talking about was Namor. Let's save that.
The mechanics of what you're talking about are a spoiler, I think.
Yeah. Geez, Zach, that's an actual spoiler. None of this.
What, that they should have painted him? That's a spoiler?
Yes. When we talk about how they should have defeated the bad guy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of glad that they got Namor out of the system. It means we're probably not going to get a Namor movie, right?
That's a
yeah,
spoiler.
but he might. Let's stop here.
What? I'm not saying anything about Namor other than he was in this movie, and hopefully we don't have to have one.
Let's talk about
his
him
origin story.
No more.
All right.
Oh boy.
We'll talk about him no more.
Quoth the Raven, no more.
Anything else with Black Panther before we?
I think it's getting a little silly how quickly they're able to fabricate things like new technologies and things.
Nanobots, super easy when you have nanobots.
Literally anyone in this movie, if they want something, 15 minutes later, they just have a completely made thing.
Yeah,
sure.
And it's like all of it is the most sophisticated technology known to history. And it's like they just instantly have it. Including the college student girl.
Right. Some like 19-year-old. That was one thing I felt was a bit of a reach where they're like, we need to find this scientist who created this thing. And it's a 19-year-old college student who maybe doesn't even know what she was creating. Like, I just couldn't quite figure out how like her, college prototype then made it into hands of the people that had it.
Well, I think they probably just took it.
So you think like she's made something and then it was just taken?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought they said she was like a technologist for hire. They made a joke near the end.
Well, also she like helped people cheat on
Yeah,
projects and
like
stuff.
that we saw, but was
That's true.
okay. All right.
All right. Okay. Anything else? Let's letterbox it. Out of 5 stars. What are you guys gonna give Black Panther: Wakanda Forever?
3.5.
I gave it a 3.5 as well.
Yeah, I'd probably give it a 3.5.
Okay.
You can give it a 3 if you want.
I'd probably give it a 3. It's still fine.
That's fine. Go for a 3. Own it.
It's certainly not the worst Marvel movie we've
That's
seen.
right.
No.
But it kind of like, I think Black Panther, all of us generally rank it high enough that it's maybe a disappointing sequel, but it probably was always going to be that no matter what.
Yep.
Just because of the logistics of reality. All right, we're going to talk Black Panther: Wakanda Forever spoilers at the end of the podcast. So when you hear us do the outro, and then you'll hear some music right after that, stick around and we will talk spoilers for Wakanda Forever.
Let's rank some movies.
It's time to rank some movies and TV shows as well.
Kyle, can you say that for us?
Say what now?
Let's rank some movies and TV shows.
Let's rank some movies and TV shows.
Oh, that's so boring.
Kyle's aged poorly.
Age poorly.
You were
Somehow,
so
Zach, you're supposed to
energetic.
be the young one of the podcast here.
It is. I am the young one of the podcast.
We couldn't tell that by the video.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I'm just trying to hurt you.
Well, it didn't work. Mission failure.
We're gonna rank for the first time. I don't think we've ever ranked TV shows amongst movies. I think this is a new thing for us.
This is a blend. Yeah.
Yep. We're gonna rank the top 10 MCU Phase 4 movies and TV shows. Which this is the first phase of MCU that has had TV shows to rank within it. It's like the first. It's a new era for Marvel. The post Endgame era, they were like, "Hey, we're gonna have TV shows. They're gonna be in the continuity, and also we're occasionally gonna get like our big name stars to be in them." And so that's what they've done ever since 2021 or so.
It helps that Disney Plus was launched during Phase 4.
That does help.
So they have an
In
outlet
fact,
for
it
there.
might be the main motivation for why they've been doing it.
Yes, it could be.
For sure. Yeah, so we ranked roughly 15, I would say. If you had seen all of them, there's 15 of them. This is our top 10 favorite of the Phase 4 stuff. Why don't I go first? Does that work?
Great.
All right. Out of the 15, I've seen 13. The ones I haven't seen, just for reference, is What If, which is the cartoon series that's like, what if, I don't know, Iron Man was really Thor? And it's like, it's supposedly canon, but not. And I tried watching one of them, and the animation was really bad. And I was like, nope, I'm out. Not watching all of this. Because A, it barely matters, and B, it's not good anyway. And then I haven't watched all of Miss Marvel, which is like their latest one, I believe. Or
Okay.
close to their latest one. Okay.
Okay.
That being said, my number 10 is The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is a TV show on Disney Plus that follows up the Captain America story, I guess you would say. And in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, are we going to avoid spoilers in these? I mean,
Yes.
This has been out for a while though.
Yes, avoid, because I haven't seen it, so avoid spoilers.
You don't know the main thing that happens in The Falcon and Winter Soldier?
I know the thing that happens in the first episode.
What's the thing that happens in the first episode?
Well-
I don't remember all the episode numbers.
I don't know if that's the main thing or not because I've only seen the first episode, but don't spoil this just because it's been out, is all I'm saying.
Okay, well, you should know that this movie focuses on Anthony Mackie's character, the Falcon, and Sebastian Stan, and has kind of like an interesting racial edge to it. I think there's like some interesting commentary in
Mhm.
the movie about minority led superhero stuff, as well as just the idea of public accepting minority superheroes. And I liked that stuff. I thought it was interesting and pretty good. I also think it could have been a movie very easily, and probably you could have lost an hour and a half of it, and it would have been just fine. My number 10.
Cool. I haven't seen 6 of the things.
Okay.
All TV. I haven't seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Hawkeye, Moon Knight, She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, or What If.
Mm-hmm.
So for my number 10, I'm going to pick the one that I'm most curious about,
Okay.
and that's What If.
Mhm.
Because I heard it's really interesting, and I heard it's an anthology, so every episode is standalone. And I have no idea what the animation looks like, but I heard it was interesting.
Well, watch it and then tell me that you hate it, because you will.
Okay.
Would the animation be different from episode to episode?
I don't know, but the one I tried was brutal.
Okay. Interesting.
The voice acting wasn't good either, because they at least the one I watched, it doesn't seem like they got the original voice actors. I might be wrong. And whoever they had doing Black Widow's voice sounded stoned. Like it sounded like Scarlett Johansson high off her mind delivering
Okay.
lines. And I was like, what is this? It bugged me. Kyle?
In the comics, Black Widow, classic stoner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure.
I have seen 10 of these, so this is perfect. The ones I haven't seen are all TV, so Hawkeye, She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, Moon Knight, What If.
Okay.
And I probably will not get around to seeing them, and I'm totally fine with that. So, of my Phase 4, my number 10 is Eternals. I think this movie came out last year, and it was okay. We watched it for the podcast. There's a lot going on in this movie. There's a lot of characters, a lot of story, twists, cosmic things happening, which is probably my favorite part of the movie. This movie just had a lot stuffed into probably the same runtime as Wakanda Forever, but where Wakanda Forever actually focused on like telling a story in these critical moments, this movie just seemed to be bouncing around. So it's fine. I haven't really thought about Eternals much since it came out. I just want to see more giant cosmic beings creating planets.
Nice. I don't think Eternals is on my list.
It probably did not make your list, yeah.
Eternals is my least favorite MCU Phase 4 thing.
Okay.
Uh,
Same for me. Number 10.
My number 9 is Hawkeye, the television show on Disney Plus. This brought back one of the main Avengers in Jeremy Renner's Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye, and it kind of plays like a Christmas time period buddy cop show, with Jeremy Renner being one of the buddy cops and Kate Bishop, played by Haley Steinfeld, as kind of like his young protege. And I really dug it. I liked the Christmas in New York setting. Very much reminded me of like 80s and 90s stuff that's like idealizing New York around the holidays. I thought it actually, also sets it in like just a very specific time period in a way that most Marvel stuff, I think, tries to avoid being pinned down to a specific season. Whereas this Hawkeye doesn't do that at all. It's like it came out around Christmas. It was trying to be a Christmas themed type of thing. And I think it worked very well.
Nice.
Also, lots of stuff in Hawkeye that like crosses with Netflix stuff. which was
Oh,
cool.
like
Because that was like one
Punisher
of the
and
first
Daredevil on those?
times. Yeah, that was one of the first
Okay.
times where they were like, oh yeah, we have control of those characters again, and we're gonna pepper stuff in here because it's all New York based type of stuff, New York City based, and so that was cool too.
Hawkeye doesn't have superpowers, right?
Hawkeye does not have superpowers.
No, he's just really good with bow and arrow.
really good with the bow and arrow, and he has access to Stark technology bow and arrows.
Could he potentially be not good at bow and arrows and just like it autocorrects for him?
I think
No.
he started really good, and now with the technology, he's like insanely good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think in the Avengers, he did not have Stark technology. He just had whatever his stuff was.
Like, what's his most impressive feat?
He can blow things up with an arrow.
Like, how good is he?
He's extremely accurate.
Like, but what I'm
Like-
saying is like
As accurate as a incredible military sniper.
that's it.
I mean, what's Black Widow's powers? She's just a really good spy.
No. I'm not bagging on him. I'm just curious.
I
Like, can he like, you know?
How would we be able to tell you that, Zach?
he wants to
can run the
compare
10-minute
Hawkeye to
mile.
Robin Hood. He wants to know
No.
if they were in a
I just
in
want to
a
know how good
arrow
he is.
fight.
No, James, you have consumed all the Hawkeye like visual media. So I want to know, like, what is the most impressive shot he's taken?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know anything about professional archery.
I'm pretty sure he's done the thing where he's put like multiple arrows on one string, launched them, and hit multiple targets at once.
Okay.
That's
He's
definitely happened in multiple instances.
Yes, he
Okay.
can do that.
So he's into
Now,
that. Okay.
At this point, do the Stark arrows do it for him? I don't know. That's a great question.
Okay.
Is it? Not really.
That is a question.
Right. There we go.
My number 9 is Thor: Love and Thunder. A movie that had some interesting things in it, but overall I found pretty disappointing.
Fair. My number 9 is Black Widow. Movie
My
that
number
just-
8 is Black Widow.
Okay, great, perfect. I thought you were just gonna plow right through me.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Black Widow was fine. It was more fine than Eternals. I did like Florence Pugh. I forgot that she's in that movie. I liked David Harbour and Rachel Weisz. The whole family dynamic was a lot of fun. It was weird being a prequel to kind of everything, and it didn't really feel like it celebrated Black Widow's character as much as people were hoping it would. It felt more like it was an introduction of Florence Pugh's whatever her character is going to be. Whether we'll
Mhm.
see her again or not in these movies, I don't know. But she got most of the screen time and the emotional depth, and not the character who's no longer within the realm.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I like Black Widow. I had fun time watching it. But it felt like then, and still feels like a mistimed movie. Like
Yeah.
a movie that, like, releasing a movie about a character that's long dead in the main timeline feels like you have to have a really weighty reason for that to be effective.
Mhm.
I'm not sure introducing Florence Pugh's character into the universe, which seems to be the only long-lasting reason that movie exists, is a good enough reason to make that movie. I am reminded, though, I kind of feel like Hawkeye is probably too low on my list. I should probably adjust it because Florence Pugh is definitely in Hawkeye. And if you want to see what happens to Florence Pugh after Black Widow, then you got to watch the 6-episode Hawkeye. Because she's all over that show, and in a good way. There's a scene at the end of Hawkeye that I won't spoil that takes place in a very famous spot in New York City that's great, that has Florence Pugh in it among all the other people in that show.
Is it Times Square?
No. It's not
Central Park?
Times Square. No,
It's Times Square, isn't it?
Rockefeller Center?
it's not Times Square.
Okay.
Zach, your number 8?
Eternals. I wanted to I'd be like, oh, everyone hates this movie. Maybe I can just love it, but I couldn't. so many of the characters are just incredibly uninteresting to me. And a lot of it came down to casting, I think, and like just also generacy. But man, I loved seeing these like Eternals that are just, or not the Eternals, whatever. What are the things that like grow inside of a planet?
Like those giant titans at the end.
Yeah, those are so
sweet.
cool.
That
Those
was
are
cool.
so cool.
Yep.
It's just one thing that was super awesome in this movie, and otherwise the movie was just not great.
Yeah. I think Zach, you and I are pretty much on the same page on that movie.
Simpatico.
Yep. All right. My number 8 is Falcon and Winter Soldier. And it was a interesting TV show. It definitely had a lot of ideas going on. James, like you mentioned, sort of the racial politics behind superheroes, as well as it was a movie that tried to explore like what's the political impact of superheroes on some of these, people who could be either saved or victims, which I always think is an interesting part of superhero culture, is like what happens to the non-superheroes and like everyone who gets affected by whatever they're doing, or this post-snap world that we're living in. So it definitely drilled more into kind of the socio-political side of the MCU, which I did find a little interesting. And I really liked Kurt Russell's son. I can't remember what his name is exactly, something Russell, who was kind of brought in as the new Captain America, who had maybe all the abilities of whatever Chris Evans. What's that guy's name? Like Steve Rogers. All the ability of Steve Rogers without maybe the moral compass.
Yeah, I forget that guy's name. Like the comic book character's name.
Yeah, who comes in as the new Captain America?
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. He has a name. I can't remember what it is. So
Mhm.
number 8.
My number 7 is She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, which is another relatively recent Disney Plus series. And I would say of all of the 13 that I've seen, She-Hulk Attorney at Law is the only one that feels like somebody's trying to do something new with these stories. Like there's a lot of style to this show, a lot of comedy. The fighting is very secondary. In fact, they joke a lot about how it's not really a show about superheroes fighting. It's about a young lawyer who becomes a Hulk and doesn't hide it, basically. She like continues being a lawyer and continues being out in society. She has a hard time dating even before she's a Hulk, and then after she's a Hulk, guys are coming after her with all these ulterior motives because she's famous and stuff like that. And yeah, there's just like a lot. It's a fun popcorny type show that also dips into the related Hulk stuff from the MCU. So there's a lot of Bruce Banner in this, and Hulk, and Abomination from the first Hulk movie, including what's his name, who played Abomination in that. What's his name? The guy from Four Rooms. 90s actor. Doesn't matter.
Tim Roth.
Yeah. Tim Roth. Yeah. Tim Roth. And then there's superhero support groups in this. There's a guy who makes all the suits for superheroes that she hangs out with, and she breaks the fourth wall in this. She like constantly talks to the audience into the camera and like narrates what's going on in the show. And I just thought it was super playful. It's not super like consequential to the bigger story of anything so far, but I thought it was an interesting kind of borderline parody, but not full parody. Just like it balanced that line well enough to keep me entertained and keep me watching. My number 7.
Four
Nice.
Rooms is your go-to for Tim Roth reference?
That's what I think of when I think of Tim Roth. I
You
know
think of Four Rooms.
certainly he's been in other things, but that movie is burned into my brain.
Like not Pulp Fiction or Reservoir Dogs or Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are Dead or 2001.
I haven't seen Rosencrantz and Guildenstern is Dead.
That's fine.
but I've
That's
seen those
probably
other ones.
a bit of a deeper cut, but
Check it out.
Tim Roth is so good in Four Rooms. Why are you bagging on Four Rooms?
I'm not banging on Four. I've never seen it. It's
You've never seen Four Rooms?
no. It's either written or partially written or directed by Tarantino. He's involved in it, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an anthology movie with 4 different directors directing 4 different segments. So there's only
Yeah.
one Tarantino section. But Tim
Okay.
Roth is the
Bellhop,
doorman,
yeah.
the bellhop, who goes through all 4 of the stories. So
No, I want to see it. I just haven't gotten to it yet.
oh yeah, it's only been 30 years since that movie was released. You really want to see it.
It wasn't like I was 8 years old and like, man, I can't wait to see Four Rooms. I'm just gonna wait 30 years.
I'm just saying, you can't tell me you really want to see something, and it's been out for so
I don't think
long.
I said I really want to see it. I believe I said I
Didn't
want
you just
to
say
see
I
it.
really want to see it, Zach?
Can we roll the tape?
Roll it back.
Do we have a stenographer?
I can't roll it back.
Okay. Dottie, can she read the tape to us?
All right. Is it me?
Mm-hmm.
It's you.
Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, number 7.
Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness is also my number 7.
Okay. This movie was fine. Had some interesting things. But if you're curious about the plot of this film, just don't even bother and watch that other movie that's better.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie just didn't, and I had seen Everything Everywhere All at Once before this movie. This movie didn't do a lot with the multiverse. It gave us Flower, New York, which I think I mentioned before. I did like some of the Sam Raimi touches to it. Like at least this movie had a director's visual touch to it. I would say like Coogler does a good job with the Black Panther movies and making those, like, you can tell there is a director's vision behind those movies. And obviously Sam Raimi brought that to Doctor Strange 2. I also just did not care for the story arc of the Wanda character that was given to us in Doctor Strange 2.
I'm nodding, but I disagree.
Okay.
I disagree with that too. That's my favorite part.
That's fine. That's fine. I think they did her dirty.
My number 6 is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which I enjoyed. Of any of these, that one feels like the one that's like just its own island. I mean, they've had so much stuff come out since that movie, and none of it intertwines with Shang-Chi. And maybe it will here coming up soon in Phase 5, but so far it's like just this movie that has this other character that is not even in the same universe, possibly, just because they haven't mixed much. Although, did they mix somebody from Doctor Strange? Wasn't there a character from Doctor Strange in? Yeah, maybe that's the only crossover. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting. The powers are cool, and I want to see more of it, whether in direct sequels or crossing over into other MCU stuff. My number 6.
My number 6 is Black Widow. This movie I liked. I enjoyed this movie. Yeah, I think Florence Pugh is a good addition to the MCU, and yeah, I found this movie fun.
All right. My number 6 is Thor: Love and Thunder. I enjoyed this movie. I liked the tone that it struck. I liked the addition of Thor's to the universe. I really liked his relationship with his hammer versus his axe. I thought that was very funny. And I think Christian Bale gave a pretty powerful MCU bad guy performance. And I read that they left a lot of his stuff on the cutting room floor because it was just way too intense for a PG-13 Thor movie. And I kind of want to see some of the deleted scenes of like what Christian Bale was doing that they're like, yeah, we can't put that in your movie.
My number 5 is WandaVision, which I thought was a good start to MCU television. Way more heady, I think, than most of the television stuff. Most of it has seemed kind of light, whereas WandaVision was like pretty intense show about the inside of the Scarlet Witch's mind, essentially. Um, and yeah, a lot about loss, and it was cool to see old what's his name, old Gemhead, forget his name now.
Paul Bettany, Vision.
Paul Bettany, yeah, as Vision. I liked getting that was a posthumous thing that worked for me. Like bringing him back, I thought worked within the character development of Wanda Maximoff. I liked all that stuff. If I had one complaint about WandaVision, it's kind of like the last episode or so where it expands into like the city around them, and you got this other character that is certainly the impetus for the story, but has little to do with like Wanda's issue, I would say.
Yeah.
So I didn't love that. Didn't hate it either, but it was there. But I liked all the Wanda stuff, and I thought it was a good first attempt at TV.
Nice. My number 5 is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
My number 5 is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
My number 4 is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Wow. Okay. We have similar ideas about this.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
What's your number 4, Zach?
WandaVision.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nothing
Kyle,
bad.
what about you?
If you want to add to that.
Yeah, WandaVision was great. You know, it took a couple episodes to get into it, and then by episode 3, I was like, "Well, this is great," and then it stayed great. So,
My number 4 is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I thought this was a almost great MCU movie. Really liked all of the different various Asian martial arts styles that were brought into this movie, and some of the actors that they were bringing in, like Tony Leung and Michelle Yeoh and Maggie Chung, they were all pretty great in it. And then it got a little Marvel-y at the end, and that kind of took it down a little notch for me. But 2/3, 3/4 of this movie is pretty great.
Cool. My number 3, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I mean, this probably has a little bit to do with the director more than the movie itself. Like I enjoy this style of movie. I've enjoyed it from the beginning. Like this director specifically, that I'm drawing a blank on his name, Sam Raimi.
Sam Raimi.
I like Sam Raimi movies, and this feels like a MCU Sam Raimi movie. And Sam Raimi lately has been doing like that dumb Oz movie and a couple other things that I was just like, oh, stupid. And then he made this, and I was like, all right, just make these MCU movies until the day you die, and I'll be fine with it. So hopefully he does that. My number 3.
Nice. My number 3 is Spider-Man: No Way Home. I thought this movie was super good. It was really effective, and it was a lot of fun to watch in the theater, and I liked it a lot.
My number 3 is Loki. This is the Tom Hiddleston Disney Plus TV show. Loki ends up working for a bureaucracy that is in charge of controlling all the different dimensions. And I have come to realize I really enjoy bureaucracy. Maybe not in real life, but I like seeing ridiculous bureaucracy put on screen. And this is one of those cases of a ridiculous bureaucracy that is doing something incredible through the mundane.
My number 2 is Loki as well. And this is the first one where I was like, this is like a movie. This feels like a movie. It's a TV show, but like there's something about the budget or the way they spent the money or the way they structured the story. Yep. I don't know. But I was like, this could very easily just be a movie. And the production felt like that high level. And I feel like it is a consequential TV show for the bigger MCU, and had a style and a structure and a pace of its own. And I enjoyed it. It's my number 2.
Loki is my number 2 as well. Super well done. And Loki's a character I don't care about that much until I saw this, and then I care about him a lot.
Yeah.
So good on him.
My number 2 is Spider-Man No Way Home. Really ended up enjoying this movie. And I think this movie did something great for me, and that made me appreciate Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. Because I watched Amazing Spider-Man before seeing this one, just to get a little caught up, and I was like, this is so unnecessary. And then I saw Andrew Garfield in this. I'm like, oh, actually, he's kind of a fun Spider-Man. I think he was just right person, wrong place. Or wrong time, however you want to put it.
In his first run at Spider-Man, you mean?
Yeah. Just coming fresh on the heels of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, kind of redoing origin story. It all just felt sort of unnecessary at the time. And I think it still is unnecessary, but I do think he's a good Spider-Man.
Nice. My number 1 is also Spider-Man No Way Home. And I agree. I think this movie was super fun, super consequential, unexpected. Could have been super gimmicky, but yet they pulled off all the gimmicks they loaded the movie with. And it kind of feels like the Avengers movie of this phase in a weird way, even though there's only one Avenger in it. But yeah, feels like the big movie of Phase 4, in my opinion.
Well, number 1 for me is my favorite MCU Phase 4 thing, and it's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I just had so much fun with this movie in the theater. I had very, very, very few complaints. I was just enjoying everything it was giving me. It was giving me things I was not asking for, and some things were so well executed, like that bus fight scene, and
Oh yeah.
it was sweet. I was all about this movie. So it's my favorite thing so far they've done this phase.
Nice.
And my number 1 is WandaVision. I think this show is pretty incredible. Like you said, James, it's a show about grief and about Wanda dealing with the grief of the consequences of the Infinity War. And on top of that, it has a really unique visual storytelling style going on, where, like, at least for the first several episodes, each one shot like a different style of sitcom from a different era, which I thought was really engaging and interesting to watch. And I liked where the story went with it. And I think that's one reason why I did not like Doctor Strange 2, because I thought WandaVision sort of gave her some closure to everything that she was dealing with, and Doctor Strange 2 just sort of like said, nah, we're not done with her yet. Let's bring her back into the fold.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of hit it out of the park with that first one. I'm not saying it was downhill from there, but it was hard to live up to. I don't think they really did until Loki came out. And then it was like, okay, so some of these are going to be good, some of them aren't.
Yeah.
Or no, I haven't seen one that's like actually bad. I haven't seen a Disney Plus television show, MCU, that's like bad, other than What If, which doesn't count. My 11, 12, and 13 was Thor, Love and Thunder. Disappointed by that movie. Moon Knight, which I watched, but like I think I fell asleep in a couple episodes, and then I'm not sure I picked them up where I meant to. So I need to give it another shot. I know other people that really like it. I think I just was not in the zone to enjoy it. And then Eternals, which I think is a snooze fest, personally. All right. That was our top 10 MCU Phase 4 movies and TV shows. What did you think of Black Panther, Wakanda Forever? We're curious to know. If you'd like to tell us, there's a couple ways you could do that. You could send us an email to heyguys@cinereelists.com with your comment on the movie. Maybe your ranking of Phase 4 stuff. Your thoughts on Shuri as the new Black Panther. Any of that type of stuff. heyguys@cinereelists.com. We'll talk about it on the podcast. You could also leave us a comment on the Cinereelists YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, search Cinereelists. find the episode about Wakanda Forever and just leave a comment right there. We'll answer those as well. You could support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Cinereelists. You could leave us an Apple Podcast review, or you could follow us on social media on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok at Cinereelists. Or you could follow me on my Twitter or Letterboxd account at YoJRB.
You follow me on Twitter or Letterboxd at Shaban.
You can find me on Letterboxd at PeterSKB.
Don't forget, after the podcast, there will be spoiler talk about Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So just keep on listening. We'll be back next week with something or other. Maybe we'll be discussing Triangle of Sadness. Maybe something else. We don't know for sure. But one thing is for sure. We'll be back next week. Until then, keep it Cinereal.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.
This is spoilers for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. So if you haven't seen the movie and you want to stay spoiler free, don't listen to this. If you've seen the movie or you don't care, then listen on. So I guess I spoiled that Letitia Wright's character is Black Panther, evidently. I thought that was very common knowledge. Or becomes Black Panther in this movie.
Yeah, becomes Black Panther. Yep.
Yeah.
I guess. How do you define a spoiler if that's not one? Just because everyone knows it?
Yeah, no, I think a spoiler is, yes, something that is either a twist or an unexpected story element. And I do not believe that Shuri becoming Black Panther is neither a twist nor an unexpected story element, nor something, as James said, that was discussed publicly. Maybe, right, people aren't reading every single Variety article and watching every Comic-Con clip, but it was not an unknown thing. There was not some big secret over, is there going to be a Black Panther in the next Black Panther movie? Who will it be?
I want to add to your list of what makes a spoiler also a third one, which is a cool moment, right? You can spoil a cool moment.
Yes, true. But I don't think her becoming Black Panther was a cool moment either.
I don't think so either, but there was like maybe 5 people in my theater that disagree with you because that's when they clapped. And there was only like 5 people that clapped.
That was the clapping. Was it Letitia Wright's family?
I don't think so.
Do they go to every screening they can and just clap for their daughter, hoping to like get the crowd going?
I don't think so, but
Okay.
Maybe. But there was some people that were way into that moment, and they were definitely in the minority. Now, other people might have been into it, but they were the only ones, so into it that they had to burst out in clapping, which I respect, by the way. Have at it.
Clap away.
Clap away. It was a proper moment, and I bet if I had seen this Thursday night at 8:00 on the first showing, there was probably more clapping for that moment than Sunday at 11 a.m.
Yeah,
I imagine.
whenever there was clapping, it was like a couple people they would start clapping, and then no one else enjoyed it. They sort of stopped. Like they were embarrassed to be clapping. It felt like.
Oh, my people were wholeheartedly clapping. There's maybe 30 clappers in my theater.
30 clappers.
A lot of clappers.
Wow.
There's applause happening twice.
A full-on
Nice.
applause.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So I thought they had to defeat Namor by keeping him dry. It was pretty silly. Like at no point throughout this movie did you get a sense he got his power from the water until they were like, I think he gets his power from the water. Oh, I think you're right.
Is
Let's
it
dry
that he
him
gets
out.
power from the water, or that he breathes through the water?
No, so he can breathe. He can breathe in air. That's how he can be like walking amongst. How he can be in our atmosphere without the mask on. Right. He's like an amphibian in that kind of sense.
I thought it's that he sucks in the air through his skin. Like he can get air through his skin.
Yeah. Right. Which is the same thing. So like he's not right. Maybe he's not breathing with lungs, but he's still.
Yeah.
He can just exist in above water,
but that's not him getting power from the water.
I really thought that he got power from the water. That's why they had to dry him out. Because they said like, oh, did you notice after you fought him, he went into the water?
I definitely thought there's a line in there where they're like, some animals can breathe through their skin.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
They
said some fish don't have gills. They breathe through their skin.
Yeah.
I think the heat was to dry the air so that there wasn't any water in the like in the air that he could like absorb.
Oh, so you think he was like just breathing the humidity?
Yes. That's what I think.
Okay.
And that then he would like go back into the water to just get more water air,
Yeah. I thought he like got his power from like his strength came from the water, which is maybe the same idea. Like, oh, he needs to recharge in the water, but I took it more literal. Like,
they should just dumped oil on him or something,
or
just cover him.
Spray painted him as you.
Yeah, spray painted him. He would have choked to death.
Yeah. He survived a jet engine quite well. I was quite impressed by the other lack of burns on him from that.
Did he go through a jet engine?
Yeah, he didn't go through it. Remember, she at the very end of the fight, Shuri/Black Panther activated like a crashed engine that was on the beach and just roasted him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't. Did they say this? Did they actually just explain why he's not a blue person?
Because he
never drank it.
Yeah, he's like a. Well, he called himself a mutant, which is interesting that MCU can use that word. I thought Fox owned, but I guess Disney owns Fox now, so who cares?
Yep.
Yeah, I got the impression that because his mother drank it while she was pregnant with him, that's how he became kind of like half blue person, half human, with wings on his feet. Apparently.
Yeah, where did the wings come from then?
He's a mutant.
All right. Fair enough.
Why is
answered.
Iceman made of ice? He's a mutant. I mean, that's the thing with mutants. You can say, oh, he's a mutant. He's,
Sure.
He can breathe. He can breathe water and vapor, and has wings on his feet. Makes sense to me.
Did they have the same flower or just like a similar-esque flower?
I think it was similar.
Okay, like a different species of flower.
I got the impression that both the Wakandan flower and the let's call it the Namor flower were both imbued with the power of vibranium.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
I kind of wish too that there was somebody on the Namor side that had a personality. There really wasn't. Like you had the warrior guy that showed up, and maybe the lady who was very serious about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had Namor, and it was just kind of like, there's nothing likable about this going on. There's no reason to like be conflicted about their fight with the Wakandans or anything. Yeah.
They're really good at fighting on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
But for mysterious people that always hide from humans, like when are they training on land to fight like that? I'm sure fighting on land is very different than fighting in the water. And who are they fighting in the water?
Whales, sharks.
Who are they fighting in general?
Swordfish. I don't know.
As best we can tell, this is the first time they've ever fought anybody.
Yes.
Doesn't make any sense.
I thought their siren song was pretty sweet.
Like the music behind it, or the idea behind it, or the execution of it?
Yes, all three, the whole thing.
No, the execution was so lame.
What do you mean it was lame?
You had like 6 people pop up in a grouping and they sing a song and people like the happening themselves.
Yeah, they do happening themselves. That's a good point.
Like
I didn't
the
think
idea
it
of
was
sirens
lame.
is fine.
I didn't think it was lame. It was just kind of like, okay, this is happening.
They should have used it more often. They only used it twice.
I thought it was cool.
Why didn't they use it every time? And earplugs. Everyone has earplugs just with them.
Well, yeah, I got the impression that people could kind of, I don't know if you had to have like a certain frequency or decibel level for it to affect you. Because like Lake Bell and the other guy were like, quick, put your earplugs in.
I did like
Yeah.
that Lake
Like-
Bell was in the movie. I wish she had not perished immediately.
Yeah, replace Julie Louis-Dreyfus with Lake Bell, and I'm totally fine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with that too.
Yeah, who heard it and then like put in earbuds?
Lake Bell
Like,
did.
they've already heard it. That's why they put in the earbuds.
I think you have to be close to it though for it to like actually grab you. They didn't say that. That's just how the movie treated it.
You got to be kind of close.
Mhm.
Yeah, or like
Yeah.
there has to be no walls between you and the sound, I guess. I don't know. that-
If you're in a slightly
Just
enclosed room, you're safe.
Stay
from it.
inside.
Stay inside.
Problem solved.
I kind of wish they hadn't killed off Angela Bassett. That was one thing I almost said in the main review.
Yeah.
It
That
just
would be
felt like
see,
we were
That's a spoiler. Yes.
yeah, we were already in the middle of like, you know, Chadwick Boseman not being in the movie and stuff like that. And then they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, we're going to kill Angela Bassett too. It was kind of like, feels a little unnecessary, but they did it.
I do hope she, and it's not going to happen, but I hope she gets a Best Supporting Actress nomination for this movie. Because I thought her performance was awesome and her speeches were incredible.
Yeah.
Like she brought some of that gravitas to this movie that I missed with Chadwick Boseman and
Mhm.
well, Killmonger is in this movie briefly. We can say that now.
Yes, we can say that. And I thought it was great that he was in here, but it also
Mhm.
just reminded me like, oh yeah, the first Black Panther is really good.
Right, like imagine
He's
if,
so much better than this Namor crap we're dealing with in the middle of this movie.
imagine if Killmonger was not dead in this universe, and then T'Challa dies, and all of a sudden, like Killmonger's back. He's like, "Hey guys, power vacuum." Like I know it'd be maybe kind of a retread of the first Black Panther, but
I absolutely would support some storyline where he comes back from the, you know, what do they call it? The ancestral realm
ancestral
or something like that.
planes or something
Ancestral
like that. Yeah.
planes. If he comes back from that and then fights people for the throne, I would, and then becomes Black Panther himself. I think that would be an interesting redemption story, if anything. And they certainly said enough times in this movie that when you go to the ancestral planes, you're not really gone. You're not
Mhm.
really dead, type of stuff. Like that kind of language seems to feel like it's setting up the idea that people could come back. Obviously, they're not going to get Chadwick Boseman back, but they could definitely get Michael B. Jordan back in a storyline.
Should we talk about the end credit scene?
Yes.
Yes. Go ahead, Zach.
So Chadwick Boseman's, was it wife or girlfriend?
I don't think he and Lupita's character ever married. I think they were romantically involved.
It had been so long since I'd seen the first movie that until the end credits, I didn't realize that was Chadwick's like significant other. I thought it was just another sister because they always just called her sister. So I
Mhm.
just thought it was another sister of his.
It's like the
so-
Targaryens. You just kind of mate with your sister. Keep it all in the same line.
And then she announces to Black Panther's character that she has a son, and it's T'Challa's son that she's been hiding from them for a decade.
Like 6 years.
He's clearly like 11.
They say 6 years, though.
They say 6 years.
Okay.
5 years for the blip plus 1 year after the death.
He looks really old, but like why didn't they tell their sister about him for that long?
You mean in reality or in the
In the
framing
movie.
of the movie?
Yeah.
I
They
thought it
do
was,
give a reason, but it's
Yeah.
lame reason. They're like, we just want to keep him out of the political theater.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like to protect him from
Yeah.
Wakanda.
Yeah. So just tell your super close family.
Well, I mean, the Angela Bassett knew.
Angela Bassett knew.
Yeah.
Did she know recently though when she came to visit in Haiti, or did she know before then?
They
It
don't
seemed
say.
like they
don't
got
say.
introduced when she came to Haiti.
Yeah, they just say that, yes, mom has met him or did meet
Yeah.
him.
They don't say.
Is
But-
that your next movie where you have like Shuri as Black Panther, but then you have now Prince T'Challa, and then Killmonger comes back from the ancestral plane, and there's like a 3-way fight for the throne? Ooh, I'm excited for this movie.
Well, there is a little bit of an insinuation at the end that Letitia is not looking to take over the throne, and that Winston Duke's character is challenging somebody for the throne
Oh, that's a good point.
at the end of the movie. And so if you were to, and now, but that was like before Letitia Wright's character, Shuli, is that her name?
Shuri.
Shuri, then finds out that T'Challa does have, I don't know, an heir. And so, that might be, I guess, a future movie is Winston Duke's character versus
A
T'Challa's
6-year-old.
offspring. But again, I think it's because they're cramming these movies with young people, with kids, to have some kind of like kids series or series of movies or something like that. I don't know what it would be called, but I'm sure there's some comic book with like young versions of the characters.
MCU Junior. Or it's like Muppet Babies, but with MCU.
Yep. It's exactly like Muppet
MCU
Babies.
Babies.
What else? Spoiler-ish. Or full spoiler.
So, Namor's alive.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I do feel like we're going to see him again. They definitely kept him around in his whole Atlantic City people around for future possible conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care. I'm kind of like Zach. I don't need to see more blue people, especially after seeing that Avatar trailer where it's underwater and it's brightly lit and looks beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, well, you can light water. And then this movie is like underwater and it's dark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I did like a lot of this is not spoiler, but I liked a lot of the underwater cinematography.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Aquaman, they tried to make water clear so that like you can kind of see in the distance. Whereas in this one, it felt like realistic water. Like most water you can't see very far if you're just looking left to right with no landscape.
Yeah.
So I like that.
But what percentage of this movie's underwater scenes do you think were shot underwater versus were just CG?
0.
You
don't think
think
any of this movie was shot
zero of
underwater?
it was shot
No,
underwater?
I disagree. There's definitely moments shot underwater.
Yeah, no, I like when those two kids are swimming around. That was underwater.
I think when Angela Bassett is saving the American girl, I think
That
some
was
of that was
underwater.
shot underwater.
Okay.
I think a fair amount of what we were seeing in that city was shot underwater. Like obviously people sitting on a throne talking to their, their congregation, that was not shot underwater, but
Mm-hmm.
I think it was more than we might have realized.
I did like the way, this is unrelated again, but the way Namor, when he flew, he was kind of like ice skating, where he was like pushing off on his legs to move left or right. You know what I'm talking about? Because he had the winged legs instead of just like normal flying.
Oh, it was kind of like he was running through the air
Right.
or skating through the air. Yeah.
Yeah. I liked that. I thought it was a good touch.
I was distracted by these little wings on his ankles. It just didn't.
It's pretty lame.
It just didn't work for me. Like, you can have the power of flight, or you can have wings, but don't tell me that tiny wings give you the power of flight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, either be Rogue, who can just fly because she can, or Storm, or Archangel, who's got giant wings. But don't try and be both.
Sure.
It's just weird to me that the blue people didn't have any adaptation to like move around in the water. right? So
Mhm.
they would ride whales, which was great. I loved that. But then there'd be people swimming alongside the whales. And I was like, no, you just cannot go that fast underwater just by like pretending to be a dolphin.
No webbed feet or anything like
Yeah,
that.
nothing like
Yeah.
that. Just
Yeah.
it just sprawling.
Mhm.
Right, 'cause
So impractical.
They weren't fish people. They were just blue people with gills.
Yeah.
So are
Yeah.
you guys in on the new Ironheart Disney Plus show?
I haven't heard
I've
about that.
Never heard of this until right now.
So the mech girl
Okay.
Okay.
has her own Disney Plus TV show coming. That's a direct sequel to this movie.
I would say I'm totally in. I thought she was awesome. I liked everything she had to say. Everything was given to her. I thought she did perfectly.
Okay.
I'm probably not going to watch it because I just don't have a lot of time, though.
Big
There's so
praise.
few shows I get to watch anymore that
Sure.
MCU TV is pretty low on my watch list.
All right. Fair enough.
What about you, James?
No, I'm in. I mean, I've watched the vast majority of everything else. Why wouldn't I watch this? Yeah, evidently they've already shot it. So
Okay.
sometime 2023.
Nice.
Anything else? Black Panther.
No.
Nope.
All right.
5
That's it.
stars.
Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next time. Until then, bye.